to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jet airliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Poyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Hope your day's off to a good start. If not, we'll get it headed in that direction. As always, on the show today, our good friend Todd Leary, former Hoosier baller. We'll also be joined by Lance Stemler, another former Hoosier basketball player. A little bit of news coming from Lance. We're going to talk about this Board of Trustee voting. More importantly, why there needs to be voices from the people. The Kentucky Indiana All-Stars continue tonight. Talk a little bit more about Indiana baseball. 10 players drafted. Juwan Morgan's workouts continue. He was in Indianapolis on Wednesday. Moving on. Other places now. Indiana basketball is going to play Florida State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. We'll talk about that. Drake is heading out west. He takes on Golden State tonight. I'm sorry, that's Toronto I forgot. I thought he was the team. How about Carson Wentz? Big, fat, new 4-year extension, $128 million. 107 of it's guaranteed. Ain't a bad gig if you can get it. Not a bad gig at all.
Wouldn't mind some of that.
Yeah, I'll take the unguaranteed portion and be happy. Quite happy. You're free to hit us up on the text line if you like, 812-269-6367 if you're listening live. As I said, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Got a lot of music going on out here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. It's like each weekend, each Friday, I think.
Do they have live shows and stuff?
Say it again.
Do they have live shows and stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, they have bands.
Sweet.
It's pretty cool. It's not a bad dig. I played golf out here yesterday. I think I pulled some fat. Oh my gosh. We have a 3-man scramble out every Thursday. I played yesterday. I'm feeling the effects. We did all right, though. We did all right. It's a good day to be out. What do you think about this Board of Trustees? Not the Board of Trustees so much, but the issue with money going, Big Ten Network money going away from athletics. Not just some of it, not a little of it, a lot. At least over $60 million being used for other things. Meanwhile, while the athletic department's locker rooms in many of these facilities have been renovated, but that's all been through private donations. You got the Oladipo Zeller Luxury Lounge for basketball. I know Trent Green did a lot for football. Scott Rowland for baseball. Those are all private dollars, man. But they're taking the money away from athletics. Money that other schools are using to improve their athletics facilities, therefore improving their athletic programs. There's an arms race, folks. I mean, if you want to improve certain things, you've got to put more money into it. I know that there's the appearance that money is being put into all these places. The stadium at Memorial Stadium looks nice. But with that amount of money being siphoned off, Purdue just finished, I think, an $80 million indoor practice facility that is state of the art. I mean, the John Mellencamp Pavilion is nice and all, but it's just an empty building with artificial turf on the ground. He gets the job done. But that's what's going on. Is this an administration that's unchecked? Are the board of trustees actually responsible for this? That they've allowed this, right? Why aren't they being asked questions? McRobbie apparently will not answer these questions. I have been told by friends that have made the proper requests, and it has not been answered or granted. The NBA workouts continue. Tim texted in that the Chicago Bulls like Romeo and may trade up so they can pick him up in the draft. Yeah, I don't.
At 7, they wouldn't need to.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure about that.
Unless they're looking, because I did see something where they're trying to possibly move Chris Dunn, if that's what they're trying to do, and get him in the late lottery. But I don't see that happening. Bulls management doesn't make those kind of moves.
Well, there's people available before Romeo before that if he's a 7 pick.
Romeo would be available if they wanted Romeo. They could get Romeo at 7. So,
yeah, I don't know where their pick is. Does Chicago have the 7th pick?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have the 7th pick in the draft.
Do they have a 2nd pick?
Not in the first round.
So, he said he's not sure what they meant either. So, yeah. Well, we'll certainly find out when the draft goes off. But, yeah, I don't see anybody trading up to take Romeo. But you never know. It depends on what your needs are. I could have made a funny remark right there, but chose not to. Indiana basketball playing Florida State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge this year. I posted something yesterday. Has Indiana been removed from the A games? I think so. You've got North Carolina, Virginia, Duke. In the ACC, Indiana's been playing them, not Virginia, but they've been almost rotating Indiana between North Carolina and Duke. And Indiana's just not there as a program. So they've been removed to me as the A team. I'd like to have seen Indiana play Virginia. That would have been a defensive struggle. But Florida State will come to the Assembly Hall for the first time. It's not that Florida State's not a good program or a good team. They are. It's just they're not Duke. They're not North Carolina. They're not Virginia. Duke will be going to East Lansing, I noticed, though. Take on Michigan State, who is still part of the A-League, the A-team. But it's sad to see Indiana not in that mix. But, of course, that happens when you're no longer in that mix. Program's just not there.
Got to win, baby.
Speaking of Virginia, Kyle Guy was working out for the Pacers. I think that was Thursday. Yeah, I think that was yesterday. The day after Juwan Morgan was in there. I remember seeing that. Thanks for the text, Tim. But, yeah, they're getting a lot of guys in there. Larry Bird was in there when Juwan Morgan was working out. Wonder what he thinks sitting through all this stuff now in the position he's in. Does he view everybody as how he viewed himself? I mean, that's a pretty lofty standard. The guy that worked just didn't know the end of the to not work to the nth degree. I mean, his mind is on a different plane, a different level. His competitive nature, different level. As a player. What if he holds that holds everybody else to that standard? I guess not, or the Pacers would be better, right? Oh, that was a joke, man.
Could explain their playoff, or they're getting to the playoff run after Vic went down. Because that team on paper wasn't all that great, in my opinion. But they made that push and got in.
Lance Stemler's on the program today. Look forward to talking to Lance. Haven't talked to him for a little bit. Get a little breaking news with Lance, so looking forward to that. Todd Leary, our good friend, as always, each Friday, joins us. Catch up with Todd, and we'll talk about Indiana basketball. It's the All-Star season. The Kentucky and Junior All-Stars play tonight in Louisville at down at Bellarmine University. There'll be a whole bunch of 2,000 people there, maybe. Last year they were helped because Romeo was on the team right there in New Albany, right across the river from Louisville. That helped them immensely with ticket sales. Ticket sales aren't what they used to be for the All-Star game. I was talking to Mike Broughton, the game director, the other day for Indiana. Some tickets. Man, this used to be a big draw, but it's like everything else in life, unfortunately, that is not the same, not what it used to be. I mean, this thing used to get like, I'd have to look to see what the highs used to be, but it wasn't that long ago. It was getting 9,000 people. Indiana, the Indiana side, as it is this year, every player going to a Division I school. Do they need to play someone else? I mean, beating Kentucky's always been pretty fun. That's a joke too, Jake. Since they win at an average clip of 3-1, they lead the series like 3-1.
I mean, I just thought it was a true statement. I mean,
It is a true
beating
statement.
Kentucky is always fun, so
It is a true statement.
I just took it at surface level.
But they tip off tonight down in Louisville. Then they play again tomorrow night at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. So if you're in the Indianapolis area or wherever, if you want to see a couple of future Indiana players, in addition to several other future players, but also potentially some on the juniors. That's a good junior squad, man. Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal. There's a whole bunch of good guys on those teams. That junior squad. They're going to be tough next year. Nigel Pack. He's been getting some love from Indiana. Dre Davis. Going to Nebraska. Jaden Ivey. Mavor Bajak. Big 7-footer. Very interesting player. Dude's 7 foot, but can move. He was 4 of 6 in the junior-senior game the other night. He's an interesting one, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start getting some love once he gets a little beef and a little more basketball and savvy. Big program today, Todd, Leary, Lance Stemler, both on. Looking forward to that. What we got coming up next?
Scott Agnes.
Reboot with Scott Agnes. Get you caught up. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. More right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, and as always, joined by our good friend Scott Agnes from The Athletic, and had the opportunity to run into Scott yesterday at the Pacers training facility. Scott, the Pacers have, like all other NBA teams, have workouts going on right now. A lot of the guys they're looking at, potential they're looking at. You've been around a lot of those. It's almost like a cattle call for these guys.
Yeah, it's a weird experience for these guys. The lonely existence is how so many of them have described it to me, because they're bouncing around different cities. Just take Juwan Morgan, for example, who we saw yesterday. The day before, he was in Chicago. A couple days before then, I think he was in Phoenix. And they're traveling by themselves. They're in hotels. They wake up, forget what room number they're in. But for them, it's just another data point for these teams. It's an opportunity for them to see him again, because all these teams are scouting. They got guys watching video. They got guys at games. This is an opportunity, even more so on the court, to get them to go to lunch, which they did in the afternoon. And that's a chance for even some of the under-the-radar scouts to kind of hopefully meet these guys on a personal level, without pressure, without the stress of trying to impress, and just see what kind of guys they are like.
It's almost like going back to the old kickball days, man, where you're up against the wall and I'll take you and I'll take you, where you're basically trying to not just show your basketball skills, but like you talked about all these other things, they have to show their personality and their character and the type of person they are, because today a lot of these franchises, not teams, but franchises, they want to incorporate as good of people as they can into their franchises as well, because they're such a part of the communities that they reside in.
Sure, and first of all, of course, talent wins out. Teams can overlook situations and run-ins in the past if this guy's just uberly talented. That's the reality of the situation. That said, you're absolutely right, especially a franchise like the Pacers. They're not going to draft you if you don't fit their culture or venture away from kind of their ideals, their toughness, togetherness, and teamwork. Those are the 3 T's that they kind of put out there. Their slogan, it's in the elevator, those sorts of things. So for the teams like the Pacers, this is a chance, to get in front of them, see what kind of humans they're like. Are they a guy you'd want on your team and representing your franchise every single day?
And this is a different situation. All these guys are coming from big-time programs, a lot of them, from big-time college programs, whether it's Juwan Morgan coming from Indiana or Taco Fall coming from just being Taco.
He is mad. He is mad huge.
He is a thing to himself. It doesn't matter where it's like he came from a different planet.
Jim, to describe this to your listeners, he's 7'7" listed. I'm reaching up about as far as I can reach, nearly my max, right, with my tape recorder trying to reach him, and I don't even make it to his neck. And I'm not that small, 5'10". I'm being relatively. That's wild to me.
It was amazing. That dude is big, man. But he's something that doesn't come along all the time either. Because you think about those guys. You think about the Manute Bowles of the NBA. Oh my gosh, who was from China? I can't think of his name.
Yao
right
Ming?
now. Yao Ming.
Yeah.
These guys they're enigmas, man. When they come along, they're part of the NBA because it doesn't matter from now on. You're going to think about those guys, whether they're in the league for a year or two. They make a big impact. No pun intended.
So the thing to me, Jim, that's interesting is just the center position and how it continues to evolve. And you really don't see slow-footed centers much anymore. I mean, there's a reason Roy Hibbert's, 32 and out of the league. Couldn't hit three-pointers on a consistent basis and struggled defensively to move his feet. And you see guys now, the new age center, right? It's a guy like Joel Embiid who can do it all. And so that's why a guy like Taco Fall, not nearly as skilled at this point. He told us just started playing basketball at 16. I'm always curious with taller people. Do you have one big growth spurt, or is it kind of staggered? And I say that we were watching at the end of workouts. One of the Pacers, a young guy that was drafted this time last year, was Alizé Johnson. He was a point guard most of his life. One summer, he grew, I think, from 6'2" to 6'9", and now he's a Bulldogs power forward, small forward type. So that's one of the constant questions I always like to ask bigger gentlemen.
And you talk about the big guys, how that has changed, and it kind of gets me back to Juwan Morgan, who had played bigger in college than he's going to be able to do in the pros. Shooting is something that he's going to have to manufacture a lot of. That's got to be something that's a part of his game if he's going to move forward at that level, which he will at some point. We know that. But shooting is definitely a guy that's 6'8". He's going to have basically an all-encompassing toolbox where he can do everything, where he can shoot that three, where he can kind of guard the big guy, which he did a lot of that at IU, not a lot of the shooting. But that's something that he's going to have to really work on.
Isn't it amazing, though, also what 2 inches or 3 inches might do for a guy? You look out there, and he's listed at 6'8". I'm not sure he's that tall. Probably 6'6" without shoes, right? But if he was maybe 6'9", I think that would change maybe his trajectory or how teams view him. But you're exactly right. Number one, got to add that shot. At IU, when we saw him for 4 years, get a good number of opportunities, and he was basically a 30% at best three-point shooter. Now the line is a little bit further. That adds a challenge to it. But that's certainly something that he'll now have to add to his game. Teams know with him, though, you're going to get a great passing big man. I think you're getting a great solid screen setter, a guy that can run the pick and roll. And then beyond that, a guy that does represent your franchise well, could be a leader of a team, could take charge in difficult situations. And didn't we see that over this last couple of years when both him and 18-year-old Romeo Langford had to shoulder the entire load?
And he comes from two different coaching philosophies. You got Tom Crean that was mostly offensive, which he took part in. But then when you have Archie Miller coming in, a really defensive effort comes around, which would serve him well in the NBA. Some of the things he learned defensively, that if he can put that to use, there's value in that.
Yeah, it's defensive-minded, but at the same time, you just have to score. And that's been actually, quite honestly, one of the problems that has plagued the Pacers is they've always really had that defensive mentality. Well, you look at their 4 and out, right? It's getting swept in this last postseason. They averaged the fewest points per game in the entire playoffs, 92 points per game, not nearly enough. So we used to say defense wins championships, but I think without any kind of offense, you have no shot at advancing when it really matters.
And Juwan is one of those guys that he's a tweener.
He is.
He's for lack of a better word, he's stuck in between that big man position where he played in college out of necessity, but he's not a big guy. He, like you said, he's maybe 6'6", 6'7", without shoes and
too small, and not quick enough to guard threes and be that three-man.
The days of Charles Barkley, man, you got to be special.
I think his fit's going to have to be in that 4 spot and ideally in a stretch 4 role. And that's where that three-point shot, Jim, really comes into play.
Absolutely. He's going to have to increase that. And we'll wish him the best luck. But there's a lot of options, too. If the NBA doesn't work out, we've seen so many guys that end up in Europe making a handsome living and doing quite well. But obviously the goal is to make it in the NBA. I'm not sure I see him getting drafted in the first, second round, but I hope that does happen for him. Then you've got Romeo also that will not be going through workouts. The Pacers are I forget, were they sitting 18th in their draft pick?
Yeah.
I've
Pacers
said it so many times I
18th
should know it by now, but not sure that Romeo will get down that far. He might, and if he does, how attractive, we've talked about this before, I know, but how attractive is this still for them if Romeo's available?
First of all, I'm with you, Jim. I just don't see him getting to 18. I mean, probably, in all honesty, he did hurt him stock. Continuing to play through that bad thumb that had a torn ligament that needed repaired. He had a hard cast for at least a month. I know as of late last week, he got that hard cast off. So now he's finally able to resume some shooting to some capacity. But what I was told is the plans for him not to go through these workouts with teams, but to still visit teams because you can do medical, and that's obviously important for a guy coming off an injury where you have surgery. And then also just kind of the face-to-face, the interactions to learn what kind of guy he is, because a guy like him versus Juwan, you only saw, 30 games. And so a small sample size for him. But obviously his talent's kind of endless, still at the cusp, I think, of reaching that level. And so for a guy like Romeo, I think he's a late lottery pick. That's kind of where I'm pegging him here at this spot. Anywhere maybe from 10 to 15, I think seems appropriate.
Yeah, I'm thinking 15. I know the Pacers, I think, are at 15, that they were known to be looking at him. But
Pacers at 18.
Pacers. I meant the Pistons. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, and they kind of like those type of players, the lengthy defender, shooter.
And that's another thing. Where does he fit? Does he fit with what the Pacers need right now, or where they're going to be? Because we don't know about Oladipo, with his ability to come back or not, if he's going to be able to do that.
From everything I've heard, things are going smoothly with Victor. He's doing very well. He's obviously continues his train down in Miami. But that's a big question mark because there's no timeline to return, and it's an injury that they're still trying to learn more and more about. So it's at this point, it could be possible that he's ready for training camp, though highly unlikely. I could see him December. Maybe he's not ready until January. And so that's one thing that Kevin Pritchard has to keep in mind and be mindful of as he enters the draft and free agency is what kind of year can he expect. And if they're without their top player, perhaps that alters what he does, and maybe he goes with a more short term of a mindset and then tries to regroup next year.
We didn't get to talk last week. Couldn't get to have you on. The timing wasn't allowed to happen. And so we didn't get to talk about the Indianapolis 500. I know you got to go to as a fan, and man, that was one of the funnest ones to watch. I was watching on TV. I couldn't make it either, but it was one of the funnest ones to watch in a long time as far as, the whole race, but the finish especially. There was like 4 or 5 guys right up there, and they're passing these last second passes, which you don't see a lot of at Indy. It was a great fun watching a race.
Yeah, to me it was a great experience, and that's what it is, like we talked about. It's not just a race or a sporting event. It's an entire experience. So I had fun with that, and I was a little spontaneous. I don't know if you saw this past week, and I went up to Detroit. Never gone to an IndyCar race outside of here in my hometown of Indianapolis. I was like, why not? It's a short 4-hour drive. And then as part of this, so get this, Windsor's right there, Canada. I go, the Raptors in the postseason for the first time. What are they experiencing? And so we went across the border, easy, and went to a local pub. It was a Sunday night, so the crowd was not quite as dense as I was hoping. But that was really cool to see them cheer on the Raptors, and they had one public park where it was basically enclosed by a huge fence. And the place was packed. You couldn't stuff any more people in there. Giant projection screens. So that was really cool as well. But back to the 500. Yeah, I just love that race. I'd love it. Wouldn't it be fun, though, I think, to see Ed Carpenter win and then be done?
Yeah, and it'd be
That'd
nice,
be the hometown story, wouldn't it?
Especially if they could broadcast it in Indianapolis where people could watch the thing.
Don't get me started again, Jim. That's my hot button item.
Oh, man. It was driving me nuts.
Ratings were up. How about that?
They really need to let people watch it. If you're going to go to the race, you're going to go to the race. And I think that they get such a bigger audience if they would just let the people in Indiana watch the stupid race.
Absolutely. No, at this point, it's such an outdated mentality that they're missing on an audience that would be their ticket buyers in another 10, 15 years. That's my whole thing.
You mentioned Toronto, the NBA Finals going on right now. OG has been cleared to play. Not sure if we're going to get to see him play. It would be nice, but maybe toward I don't know. Who knows? Maybe toward the end of the finals, but that's asking a lot to come back from a major surgery. I know it's been like 6 weeks, but still, this guy had major surgery, man. He had an organ taken out.
No, absolutely. Oh, that's just a terrible, uncomfortable situation, right?
Anything else going on with you? What you got coming up? I know you're covering a lot of the NBA with the workouts going on and whatnot.
Yeah. So one thing I'm writing is this past weekend, Alize Johnson went back to his hometown. He's just a rookie. Hadn't bought himself that big gift, but he just opened up a brand new park area with 3 courts all dedicated right there in his hometown. So I think that's a really cool story. He's invested in that and buying his mom a new car. He's still driving his dad, or his stepdad, his old Jeep. So he's very much not materialistic and just wanted to give back. And then also I caught up with TJ Leaf, who's in town right now. He's mostly spending the off season in Clearwater, Florida. Not too bad, right? But he's back in town, and so I wanted to catch up with him. So you'll see in the coming days a story on him, his past year, his focus this summer, and where he thinks he can make an impact in his third year next fall.
You can find him at The Athletic. That's at Scott Agnes. Thank you for joining us, Scott. We appreciate you, man. Look forward to it every week.
Happy to join.
Thank you. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep light with Sweetland Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Do the dog catch it, do the dog catch it.
Yeah, to get you up. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Is it going to be a good day for golf? It's always a good day for golf. Get out and play. Come to Eagle Point and play. Or play somewhere else, but if you're closer, but Eagle Point's a good place. Great place.
The best place.
It's in pretty daggone good shape right now, I'll tell you that. Pretty daggone good shape. The Indiana All-Stars take on Kentucky tonight down in Louisville at Bellarmine. I still haven't decided if I'm going for sure. I'm all starred out, man. Going to Indianapolis for that game tomorrow night. Was there Wednesday, was there Sunday. But Nigel Pack has been getting a little of attention from Indiana. Not a ton. There's no offer or anything like that. They've spoken, but he's really stepped his game up in this offseason. He's gotten a lot of attention. He played well the other night in that game Wednesday against the seniors. He shot the ball very well, as a matter of fact. I think he went 4 of 6 from behind the three-point line, if my memory serves me correct. And it does, as he went 6 of 10 overall. He actually led all scorers with 17 points. He also had 8 rebounds in that game. So he tied John L. Davis for the lead in rebounds as well. He also had 4 assists in that game. So that's not a bad stat line, man. 17 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 4 of 6 behind the three-point line, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists from the guard position.
Very efficient.
I was getting ready. You just took the exact words out of my mouth. Very efficient. A very tidy performance. Gotten him a little more recognition. I caught up with him right after the game the other night. Let's hear what he had to say.
Talk about the recruiting process for you. You played really well out here today, and it's got to turn some heads for you. But talk about the recruiting process so far for you.
It's been going really good. Got a couple officials coming up. Got an official to Belmont this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to Northwestern on Monday, and then we're going to Kansas State Tuesday, Wednesday.
Have you talked to Indiana much?
I have not, but they contacted me and they told me text them or call them whenever to come down, hang with the guys, things like that.
You follow the program at all, the IU program much?
Oh yeah, I follow them on Twitter and things like that, so I get all the notifications about what's going on with them. I see recruiting things, what they've been doing, just things like that. I keep up with them for sure, just because it's my home school.
You shot the ball pretty well today, but you seemed also pretty fearless going in the lane. What's that mindset like when you're going up against some of the big trees and they're inside some of the seniors?
Just the EYBL's been prepping me, big time shot blockers, 7-footers. So I've been kind of prepared for it since then. It's like a half a step down. But Trace is a big time shot blocker too, so it's kind of like that. But I've already been played against the best shot blockers. It's kind of normal, by now.
What do you want to work on in your game over the summer? What's the biggest thing?
I just want to be a more vocal leader, for sure. That's what coach has been telling me a lot. They just think my game is all around complete. Mentally, I got to get sharper on the game, but then just vocal. So that's my big part in the game.
Nigel Pack talking about his recruitment after the Wednesday's junior-senior all-star game. I was laughing during that. Jake got me laughing because I asked him what he was laughing about, and I didn't notice it. But when I asked Nigel Pack if he followed Indiana, his first thought was immediately to, yes, I follow them on Twitter. Obviously, I meant, do you keep up with them, keep up with the program? But as Jake pointed out, I don't even, what do you even call these today? They're not even millennials anymore. I don't even know what these are.
Gen Z, I think, possibly.
God knows.
It's all arbitrary.
But, their mind goes straight to social media. Follow. Funny. It was kind of funny. We have also talked to Trace Jackson Davis, who is already enrolled in Indiana. And as soon as he gets done with the All-Star games, we'll be returning straight back. He's on loan to the Kentucky All-Stars now from Indiana basketball, along with Armand Franklin. But talk to Trace Jackson after the game as well.
I think that we're already a good tandem already because our games are similar. I think he has better skills than me in the post, like foot skills, so I think he has better footwork than me, but at the same time I think I'm more athletic than him, so we just complement each other really well, and he can teach me some things that I don't maybe know, like footwork and stuff like that, so I think that'll be a big thing.
How much did you guys learn from each other? Maybe how much did you learn from him, the workout you did with Jason, because he's an older guy?
Just watching Jason do it, and then he already knows most of the stuff, then he helps me if I get it wrong with the footwork and stuff like that. So he's really been big. Some of the things he's like, how do you dunk like that? How do you do that? That's just athleticism that God gave me. So, but most of the footwork he's been really good to me about and helping me.
Playing against and with DeJuan Jones give you a taste of what it's going to be like at the next level.
Yes, most definitely. Playing against him is crazy. Hard to move, hard to even play against. He's all 360, so just ginormous. But I try to get the best of him with my athleticism. Sometimes it works, sometimes he gets the best of me.
But seriously, though, is that something you can use since you haven't had much of a taste at the next level, but knowing that it is going to be bigger, faster, stronger, and playing against bigger guys like that, does that help you a lot heading in that direction?
Most definitely. I think playing against him was really a big help, in my opinion. Just knowing that there's going to be guys like that, so I'm going to have to use my quickness and show angles and use my athleticism to get past them.
How fun was it in this game? You're catching all the off the backboard, hoops on the fast break.
It was really fun. We're taking it serious. We wanted to win, but at the same time, we're trying to give a highlight show, try to play fast pace a little bit, give the crowd something to watch. So we are just having fun with it. When it comes to Friday and Saturday, it's all business, and I know Coach Byers really stands by that.
Talked about the chemistry with Joey. How about Armand and working with him this week? What's that been like?
Me and Armand are actually going to be roommates, so working with him is going to be really cool. We already get along really well, so I think everything's going to go great. We crack jokes all the time. We always have fun. So, and then we always push each other when we're working out in the weight room. So I think it's going to be really good for us.
Thanks, Ted.
I'm sure you already been asked about some of it, but just talking about Joey a little bit there. Trace Jackson Davis talking about a whole bunch of things, playing with Joey Brunk, playing with Armand Franklin. They're going to be roommates at IU. They are roommates at IU because they're both already there. Both on loan from IU basketball now, as they were finishing up their All-Star season. As that wraps up tomorrow night at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Tonight they're down in Louisville taking on Kentucky at Bellarmine University, and then that game series moves up to Indianapolis and Bankers Life Fieldhouse tomorrow. See if they can add another sweep to the ledger. The women play prior to the men. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, get them. Opportunity to see. I haven't looked to see who's on Kentucky's team. Somebody going to Bellarmine, I'm sure. St. Mary's College. Cole Barr is returning to Indiana baseball. That's got to make Jeff Mercer happy. He was one of the 10 Indiana players that were drafted this week in the Major League Baseball draft. But he will be coming back to Indiana to play for IU baseball, which is very good for Indiana. Also in IU track and field, Kayla Dawson and Mandy Pollard, all Americans. So congratulations to them. But yeah, Indiana baseball had 10 guys drafted. the other day during the Major League, over two days of the Major League Baseball draft. Kobar, one of them, he's coming back to play baseball for Indiana, though. He released a statement. I am incredibly proud and blessed for the Mariners to have picked me yesterday in the draft. This is a dream I have had since I was 6. With that being said, I will be coming back to Indiana to win more championships and continue my growth. So congratulations to Indiana baseball for getting one back.
How are rookie contracts set up for baseball players?
It's a great question because they've got so many layers. 99 times out of 100, when a player goes to the majors or to the Major League draft, they're not going to the majors. They're going to the minor leagues somewhere. And we're not even talking AAA. A lot of these guys go to A ball, then make it to AA, and then to AAA. I mean, it's a different deal than, say, basketball.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I know that they play in those lower leagues, and I've always heard that those lower leagues don't pay hardly anything, really.
Oh, you don't make jack. You're traveling on buses. Man, have you ever seen Bull Durham? That stuff's for real.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be as bad today as it used to be, but I think partly it is. I think part of that is weeding people out purposely.
Even Michael Jordan had to ride the bus.
Yeah, so, are you tough enough to do this? That's part of it. Because how many minor league baseball players never make it to the majors?
Oh, I'm sure it's
most.
Ton, yeah.
Most. Love of the game, man. Love of the game. But it's
almost, my main point was it almost makes more sense for like underclassmen to come back to school, unlike with other leagues.
Yes, I mean, it's not going anywhere. You're already on their radar, obviously. So, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to be a 30-something round draft pick, why, yes, come back. I'm sure there'll be a few others that might come back, but not all of them. Some of them are just ready to start their baseball career. Some of them have exhausted their eligibility. But regardless, you get to be a professional baseball player, a professional athlete.
It's worth something.
I was talking earlier about the Kentucky roster on the All-Star game. It features 5 NCAA Division I signees. Isaiah Cozart is going to Western. Miles is going to Xavier. Jackson Harlan to Western. David Johnson to Louisville. And Kiki Tandy to Xavier. So they have 5 Division I players. As opposed to however many there are players are on Indiana's all Division I.
I think I read where their Mr. Basketball wasn't playing, too.
Injured?
Yeah, yes.
That's a shame. Thanks for the text, Tom. Hey, we've got a lot more coming up. Todd Leary's on the show today, as he is always on Fridays. Looking forward to our Friday conversation with Todd. Lance Stemler, another former Hoosier baller, joining us today. Lance has got a little news. Looking forward to that. We'll hear from Juwan Morgan. After his workouts with the Pacers, he's got several more workouts as well. All that. Lots more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more right after this.
'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Appreciate you taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jake's at the wheel, keeping everything on the track. Hope your day's off to a good start. We've got plenty to get to. If not, Todd Leary's on with us. as he is each and every Friday. Look forward to our Friday visits with Todd. Lance Stemler, another former Indiana basketball player, on the show today. Lance has got a little news. We'll hear from Juwan Morgan after his workouts for the Pacers. Talk about the Kentucky Indiana All-Star games as they get back underway tonight in Louisville. Seniors, the Kentucky Senior All-Stars taking on the Indiana counterparts down in Louisville at Bellarmine University in game one of this home-and-home series. It moves to Bankers Life Fieldhouse tomorrow night for game two. See if Indiana can get another sweep the last several years. You know, if you paid attention, 10 IU baseball players were drafted in this year's Major League, the first ever draft, or draft for those who have not been drafted. I guess, what do you call that thing?
First draft? I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. They have multiple drafts, I guess.
Preliminary draft?
Something like that. Kobar's coming back. He was one of the 16 or one of the 10 that got drafted, but he's coming back to play baseball at Indiana, so that's good news for Indiana baseball and Jeff Mercer. Drake travels to Oakland to take on Golden State tonight in the NBA Finals as that series continues. Drake leads 2-1 over Golden State. Wonder what his stat line will be like tonight. Did you see that the I don't know what you call him, a minority owner of which team? I can't even remember now.
Golden State.
So I thought it was Golden State. A minority owner of the Golden State Warriors sitting on the end line of one of the games, of the most recent game. And a player goes into the stands going after a loose ball, and the guy reaches over 2 seats away from him it's not a shove that did anything because you couldn't move him, first of all, and you can't move him sitting on your butt, but it was just he gave him this shove. But the fact that he touched him, period, is weird. It's like, what are you doing? Seriously.
Started cussing him out, apparently, too.
People are funny. They're just stupid. And it doesn't matter what level you're talking about. Stupidity knows no levels. It knows no class system.
He had to pay a hefty fine, too. I think $500,000. The Warriors.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the Warriors fined him and then banned him from the rest of the finals games.
The rest? Yeah, I think he's banned indefinitely. They came back afterwards and saying he's banned indefinitely.
Oh, I didn't see that. I just saw the rest of the finals games.
The funny thing, if you watch that video, the woman that's, I guess, with him or with the other guy, I don't know, she's standing up the whole time. But as the player, and I forget the player's name.
Kyle Lowry.
As Lowry comes rushing by her to try to get to the ball, she doesn't flinch. Doesn't move. Doesn't attempt to get out of the way.
She tries to almost hit the ball as it's going.
She did try to hit the ball. You're right.
That
she
ball
tried
is still
to flip at the ball. The brazen, the cracks. It's like she thought she was there for a puppet show or something. Oh, let me tap the ball back to you. These people have no concept of reality, of sports, apparently. It's like a puppet show to these people. Really? It's like, are you out of your freaking mind? And they are out of their mind. But the fact that they're a minority, that he's a minority owner? Wow. Opened some eyes to me. It's just a weird situation, man. But that's what you get for having all these fans up underneath of the players. I'm surprised there's not more issues. Most people have enough sense to know that if they shove a player, their ass is done. But apparently, moronic rich people who are owners think that they can do more than they can. That was almost a, oh my gosh.
Malice at the Palace.
The early onsets of Alzheimer's is horrible. No, I'm thinking Woody Hayes, man. That was almost Woody Hayes-esque. I mean, he's like shoving him, like, what are you doing? Yeah, and what he is saying, I don't know, but it's been reported by Leary that it was not flattering. Amazing. Speaking of the NBA, Juwan Morgan would like to be jumping into the seats courtside at an arena near you. He's been trying out for multiple teams. He had 6 workouts already before he arrived in Indianapolis on Wednesday to work out for the Pacers in front of Larry Legend, Larry Bird, and crew. Saw Larry there in attendance. Got the opportunity to talk to Juwan after his workouts. Let's hear what Juwan had to say.
Where are you working out? Like, where are you based? Where are you working out with?
Joey Burton out of Zionsville.
In those workouts, what are you focusing on, or what's he focusing on?
The things I mentioned, just being able to shoot out different spots, a lot of threes, and then also just on the move type things, just setting screen and being able to roll and make reads off of different things. Like you see how Draymond does it. Most people don't respect his 3-shot, but he can set a pick, get into the middle of the paint, and then make a 3 happen out of the play.
Yeah, is that kind of the big question mark for you? Is can you hit 3-pointers? Is that what teams want to see?
That's been the consensus. That's been the main thing most teams have said for me. So I think I'm in a pretty good space when the only thing they question is can you get better at shooting, because you can always get better at shooting.
How many teams have you worked out for so far?
I think this was number 6.
How many more do you have left?
6. Yeah, so quite a schedule, but I'm ready.
Any teams in particular that are coming up?
The Kings are on the 11th. That's the closest one.
Do you get the feeling at all that your age and experience could almost work against you in the draft, being 22 years old?
I don't think it will at all, just because I feel young guys don't know who they are as a player, really, and they want to be the man still. So I think just with the experience, that's what you see in the NCAA tournament. Teams with experience are usually the ones that win.
Yeah. You lived in a lot of different places growing up. You've been in a lot of different environments, have a kind of a proven ability to mesh. Does that work in your favor in this kind of situation?
Definitely. Just being able to fit into any system with any players on the court and just being able to thrive in each one of those situations.
You went through a coaching transition at IU, but what have you maybe picked up from the current coaching staff, Archie and stuff, that is kind of carried over in terms of your preparedness?
Just being able to, the defensive versatility will definitely come from both coaches, really. And just, I went from switching to being able to be in a pack line and guard 5s a lot. So just, being able to adapt to different defenses, because, I'm pretty sure defenses change every possession. So just being able to adapt and be able to do those things efficiently.
Not even the coaching staff, just the success that former players from IU have had in the league. How has that helped prepare you for this time?
It's prepared me really well, just being able to talk to those guys, pick their brain about what they went through and how they went about it. It's just, taking bits and pieces from each one of them.
What's been the best piece of advice you've received?
Don't change who you are, and I got that from Troy.
How do you feel about your performance in the workout overall?
I think I did well overall. I don't think there was one thing that I really did bad at. I think I was good at everything. I think really just on the defensive end, just being able to talk and switch and just get guys in different spots is really what stuck out.
Do you feel like you've hit the 3-pointer well in your workouts, or do you feel like you are proving you can hit that shot?
Oh, definitely. I have no doubt that I'm shooting a lot better.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
There was Juwan Morgan after working out for the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday. Met with the media. And good luck to the man. I know he had 6 more once he left Indianapolis. He had 6 more teams to work out prior to the draft. Taco Fall was there also. The big 7'7" wonder from Central Florida. He's a big dude, man. He's a big dude. I mean, it's hard not to get drafted when you're that tall. Somebody's going to take a chance on you. But the center position is kind of different than what it has been. So it's hard to tell. The league has changed. The NBA has changed the type of players. If you look through the years, it's a different game. Sometimes they utilize the center a lot. Sometimes they don't. Maybe it's coming back around. We'll certainly find out. But we got a lot more coming up on the program today. As I said, our good friend Todd Leary joins us later on in the program, as he does each and every Friday. Also on the show today, Lance Stemler, former Indiana basketball player. He's got a little bit of news. We'll talk about that as well, too. So stay tuned. We've got more coming back to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat, back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your day's going well. If not, we'll get it jacked up a little bit right now. Our good friend Lance Stemler joins us. Lance, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. How's spring, early summer going for you?
Oh, it's going for me. No, everything's good. Still at Logan Hunt, trying to do some insurance things, and actually just started helping out at Providence High School with getting back into some high school basketball.
Yeah, on the coaching side, is that something that you've been missing, been wanting to do, or is it something just a way of keeping in touch with the game?
It's always been just keeping in touch with the game. The last few years, I coached at 8th grade at where my kids go to school in New Albany at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and just with some movement changes and different things at the high school, Providence High School, opportunity came up, and Ryan Miller, who has a high school background and been assistant coach at Floyd Central the past couple of years, and I coached with Lou LaFave back probably 2012-ish when we took Providence to semi-state. We kind of got together and talked about it, and he took the head job, and I agreed to help him out. So yeah, it's a fix, but now it's kind of ramped up as far as competitive level and kind of get me back into the game a little bit.
I know when you're missing something like that, there's nothing more invigorating than getting a shot like that. And coaching at the high school level, it's a very competitive thing, especially in the state of Indiana when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, Indiana is definitely probably one of the most competitive that I've, at least I guess the two that I know is Illinois and Indiana. So, but you're right, and it's ramped up. That, I mean, even at a 2A level, we're starting in the summer and starting to build the guys up, building team cultures, kind of trying to build this thing how we want it, and people take it serious and for obvious reasons. So we're excited.
Now, how involved will you be able to be in this as far as being a coach on the Providence staff?
I mean, technically, my title is associate head coach and Ryan Miller's a head coach. So with that, as much as I possibly can. At the end of the day, I still work in insurance and with Logan LaBelle Hunt. So I have my day job. So as much as I can be around, as much as I can help plan things and do things and be on the sideline, I will be. I really enjoyed the developmental side of working kids out and doing kind of workouts for with all ages, but mainly with the high school. I'm looking forward to that. Kind of seeing where kids want to develop. Do you want to play in college? Do you want to do you just want to be a good high school player? Everyone has their own goals and aspirations, and kind of that's where I like to step in and give them an idea of what you can do, as I've seen it from high school to junior college, which is a different level, to Bradley University, which is a mid-major level, to IU, obviously, is one of the highest levels in college. So where do you want to be at? And let's help them get there. So that's kind of the fun part for me.
Obviously, you're going to have a pretty good involved role there. What do you guys get to go to any camps, or is it too late with you just getting involved? Or are you going to any team camps, like IU's team camps, anything like that?
We're heading up to IU this weekend for a shootout. So just a couple games, not necessarily a camp, but we'll play a couple games on Saturday up there, and then kind of compare where we're at. But again, I mean, I'm still learning the kids' names. We've been around them for 4 days. So it's definitely a learning process. It's more so a culture build of how we want the team to be. And I've actually broken out a lot of old Coach Sampson things, that how he came in when Coach Davis was out, and how he built that culture, or how he built our team my junior year, and just attitude, effort wise, and just things we're trying to implement with that.
Now, do you get to play those games in Assembly Hall?
Cook Hall, I believe.
Oh, cool. Next best thing. Now, Cook Hall was not around when you were in college, right?
No, it's kind of funny. I actually turned the first shovel. I think it was DJ and I, and funny enough, I believe a couple cheerleaders, one ended up being my wife, but we actually broke ground on it when I was there. So
you were really building something there, I see.
They started it. It was Coach Hepp and Coach Sampson kind of spearheaded the rebuild or getting things going. I think that was the first football project they were doing, and we broke ground on Cook Hall as well. And obviously Coach Crean came in and finished it out, and they have what they have there now. But I mean, even in 2006, when I came in, we were still lifting in the basement where they had in the 70s. So they've come a long ways in 12 years.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, and I'm laughing about it though. But we've been discussing all week long a different subject. The Big Ten Network generates just millions and millions of dollars for these Big Ten schools now. But Indiana has had over $60 million of Big Ten money diverted away from IU athletics into other things, which it's become a topic of conversation because not that they shouldn't share some of the wealth, but that's a lot of dollars that could be going towards things to increase the viability of the success of these athletic programs.
Oh, there's no doubt. And the amount of money that the Big Ten Network put in is extraordinary now. I mean, once again, between my junior and senior year, I feel like I think I was there when everything started turning. I wish I could go back now when they're getting the fruits of that. But
yeah, I'm telling you,
that's when Big Ten Network. I believe my senior year was the first year of the Big Ten Network, and so that transition from playing ESPN, and now we didn't feel it as players, but listening to fans, because all of a sudden they weren't getting all the games. So there was that learning curve. But I know from the athletic side, department side, they were ecstatic as the little money that they were getting at the time was ramping up. And now it's crazy what all the Big Ten schools are getting. And it's great for them. I mean, they can build state-of-the-art facilities and all your training machines and stuff to take care of your athletes, and kind of, so everyone's getting it. And it's good that they're able to give some back to the school. Obviously, that's why they're there. but at the same time, and I don't know what other Big Ten schools are doing if they're giving that much, but I know other Big Ten schools are keeping up with the top echelon revamps of facilities, and because this day and age, recruits, that's what they want to see, right? I mean, if you're going after high level recruits, it's who's got the newest and best thing, the kind of little shiny object that can get their attention and get them to campus.
Absolutely, it's the truth. But unfortunately, from what it appears, that most of the other Big Ten programs are doing that, as opposed, like Purdue just wrapping up a state-of-the-art football practice facility, like an $80 million practice facility. But a lot of the things that we've seen happen here recently, the locker room upgrades, but those are private funds, like the Zeller Oladipo Legacy Lounge. That was from money from those guys and other people. But over $60 million that's known right now has been siphoned off Big Ten money to university projects.
That's the first time I've heard that number, and that seems kind of crazy to me. So yeah, I'm curious to know what other schools do and what the money's going for and that sort of thing. Because, and again, in the athlete's shoe, and this is a long discussion been had of how do we pay players? Do we give them just a scholarship? Do we do this? Do we do that? And in your revenue producing sports, I mean, where do you think that revenue is coming from? So you're not, I mean, that's a slippery slope of paying players, and I don't advocate so much for that, but there's a system in place that can give them a little something for what they're actually bringing into the schools.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that money, when you're sending that kind of money elsewhere, it's like, wait a minute, man, if you're not going to pay them, at least give them absolute best of everything that they could have. You would think would be the mindset, but not.
Or set them something. To me, set them something aside for when, because not all these players, take me for an example. I'm not going pro. I played a couple of years overseas, but I'm not making a living off of it. But if you're playing there and you're putting 4 years in and you're basically 68 hours a week in your sport and your school, and you go there for 4 years and you make the school X amount of money, put it aside, wait until they're done, and make sure they have a little something that kind of giving back to what they've given you.
Yeah, base it on graduation rate or something, but there's obviously a lot of good things that can be done, like you're suggesting, as opposed to just funneling it elsewhere. And the story, I'm sure, will come out. Well, a lot of people are starting to dig now. All right, see who is doing what. That's the thing. They haven't been given a definitive answer by Indiana. They can't get those answers as far as exactly how much has been taken and why. But we know it's been over $60 million for sure.
That's a crazy amount of money. And in a situation like that, all you want is transparency. And what's it going? If it's going for great causes, then great. I mean, let sports be the catapult to get what you need on campus and but if it's being wasted or if it's being
couldn't
put
agree
places
more.
that you don't agree with, and let's see where it's going.
Couldn't agree more. So you're busy on the road this weekend with the basketball team. We're fresh into it, man. Congratulations. It's got to be exciting looking forward to that, Lance.
It is. It's lit a little bit of a fire as far as kind of thinking the game again, thinking team-wise, culture-wise, how to build, how to use. And high school is a little unique as far as you've got to adapt to what you have and make the best of it versus find players that can fit your system. So it's going to be a challenge. But we're looking forward to it. And it's fun again.
Now this weekend, is that a team camp or will you be scrimmaging other teams? How's that work?
Well, we just go up there and play. It's a little shootout we just go up there and play 3 games on Saturday and head back. So
now,
it's not
who you
not
playing
necessarily
against?
camp. It's just we're in the facility and we get to play three other teams from, I think one's from Cincinnati and the other 2 are from, I believe, somewhere in Indiana.
Well, cool. If I can get in, I'll come over and check it out. I'm not sure if they let us in. We don't get into a lot of things over there.
Yeah, I don't know which NCAA wise, they got to be careful with media and who they let wear, and all the red tape to jump through.
A lot of ins and outs, a lot of facets to the situation.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, man, congratulations on the new gig. I'll be looking forward to following you at Providence, and new head coach. Congratulations to him as well, Ryan Miller. But it's got to be fun. I know Southern Indiana basketball is a lot of fun, man.
It is. They got a nice team at Silver Creek. I'm just glad we're not in 3A. They've got some good players at Silver Creek right now, and Floyd's obviously always good. And so overall, I would say every class, Southern Indiana fills every class of basketball with good teams, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, you look at the talent that's come out of there the last couple of years. Romeo Langford, of course, Kobe Barnes, who's on the current Indiana All-Star team. You got Trey Kaufman at Jeffersonville. Jeffersonville, but Silver Creek, and the success that they've had. Wow.
Jeff has a Coleman kid.
Trey Coleman.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, almost every school in the area from 1A to 4A, I mean, is loaded with talent. So if you like basketball come basketball season, there's a high school game worth watching somewhere around Southern Indiana.
Well, brother, I hope you have fun this weekend. It'll be fun to see you back at on the digs at Indiana University, but have a great time with that.
I appreciate it.
And enjoy vacation.
I will, always.
All right, brother. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Lance Stemler, former Hoosier baller, on with us as always. Lance, thank you. We'll be back with more. We got Todd Leary up next here on Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Always amazing to see what walk-up music Tom Leary's going to have. Just never know what he's going to pull out of his repertoire. Great selection, Todd.
Thank you.
I never know, man. Jake just is always, you never know what he's going to pull out.
How are you?
How's it going? I'm great, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Played golf yesterday, and I can feel it today. I think I pulled some fat.
Yeah, we're at that age where that's what we're good at right now.
Oh man, real rough. But at least I got to. Things could have been worse. I could have not been playing, I guess. Right?
That's true. That's true.
The All-Star season is upon us. Right now, the Indiana-Kentucky All-Stars are they battle tonight down in Louisville, and then they come back to Indianapolis tomorrow to play at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The juniors they've got all kinds of stuff going on that they didn't used to have either. They've got junior All-Star teams. The juniors play the seniors on Wednesday night. Last Sunday and Monday, they played the juniors from Kentucky. They didn't have all that stuff when you were in school.
Yeah, no, they didn't. It was that whole experience, it's kind of interesting. I hate talking about it the way that I do, but I mean, it was a rough 2-week experience when I played. And I want to preface all that by saying, I mean, it was such an honor to make the All-Star team. Like it's not an easy thing to do. And, I was insanely honored when I got chosen for it. But man, it was a tough 2 weeks. I mean, it was 2-a-day practices and going to stuff all over the state to different dinners and things like that. Like it was an exhausting 2-week process. I know they've changed it a lot now so that it's shortened and they try to get more guys to do it. But man, it was it's not what you would think it is, where it's just a bunch of fun and where it's a real all-star game where guys are kind of, playing around and having some fun with it. It's a grueling practices and you're really trying to win and beat Kentucky, which I get. Obviously we wanted to do, but it's different than the normal all-star experience people think about.
Yeah, Kentucky, Indiana leads that series like 3-1. over the course of the history of it. And do you think the kids today take it as serious as they did back in your day and the days before?
Well, I think the way they've changed it up a little bit, where it's shorter, isn't it all done in like 8 days now or something like that? I mean, it's all done a lot shorter than what it used to be. But it's just I'm sure that they take it a little bit differently and less serious. I mean, I think you see a lot more guys now that are selected to the team that don't really play in the game, and that's probably because they're hearing from guys who have made it in the past about how difficult it is. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it is tough. At least it was for us. I mean, I don't. Maybe some of the coaches now are approaching it differently, but Coach Rady back when we had it, it was difficult, and it was a hard practices all the time, and guys were getting hurt, and it wasn't what I expected going into it. But I mean, I would have been super disappointed had I not made it. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but I really am complaining.
Yeah, you really are.
I really am. I know it. I know people got to punch me in the face right now, and I get it.
No, I mean, that is, it truly is an honor from someone who did not make it. I'm just speaking from a normal person's standpoint of looking back and seeing the names. Man, if you go back through the years and look at the names on those teams, there's some big time names that pop out. Of course, Indiana produces so much talent, but man, you want to really kind of bring it down into a microcosm. There's some big time names on that rosters.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a big deal, and to select 12 kids from all across the state, it's a big time thing to be a part of, and like I said, I would have. I'm insanely appreciative and honored that I was chosen, and had I not been, it would have been disappointing. But so I mean, I'm being a total jerk right now by saying it was we had to practice hard. It was tough on us. I'm sure people are like, whatever, Dick. Like, give me a break. But it was a situation where it just wasn't what we expected. We expected an all-star situation where we were kind of jacking around all the time and having fun, and it was different than what I think we had going into
remember it. Who was Mr. Basketball that year?
Patrick Graham.
Patrick Graham. I think I've heard of him.
Did you just say that did you ask me that just to make me have to say that this morning?
Yes. Oh man, what a great team. That was a pretty damn good team, man.
Yeah, it was the crazy part, Calvert didn't even play. He still had the broken foot. So we didn't win. The funny part is Steve Alford, who at that time was a huge idol for me. He came in and spoke to us during the week and before the first game, and he told us, well, you really have to go 2-0. If you don't beat Kentucky in both games, nobody even cares about you. Like, it's just kind of pointless. and we lost the first game, and we're all sitting there kind of like, well, do we even play the second game? I mean, what's the point? So it was kind of a funny situation, but we knew what he was trying to get us pumped up, and we obviously had a little bit of we played a good team. I mean, Allen Houston and Travis Ford and those guys from Kentucky. I mean, they had some good guys on that team too. So it was a fun couple of weeks when you think back on it. At the time, it wasn't all that fun.
How many players were on that team that were teammates of yours at Indiana? I mean, obviously, Pat Graham and Greg Graham was probably on that team.
Chris Lawson. Play. Chris Lawson.
That's a good run. Indiana's doing well when you see that too. When you see that many players on that all-star roster that are heading to Indiana, that Indiana's in good shape.
Yep. Yeah, it was. We were. I mean, and heck, that's probably a good portion of the reason why I got chosen for it or why I got selected. So, it's just another thing that going to Indiana and Purdue, you're almost being from the state of Indiana and going to those two schools, you're almost guaranteed to make the All-Star team. And so that's a big positive out of being able to go to one of those two schools.
And then this year, of course, they've got Trace Jackson Davis and Armand Franklin on the All-Star team that are heading to Indiana afterwards. Well, actually, they're already there right now, but they'll be going from that to from the frying pan to the fire, basically, from high school to directly to college.
Yep. Yeah. It's like I said, and like you said earlier, it's a lot different process than it was back in the old days when we played and when we did it. So, I mean, these kids are, I mean, they're basically thrust right into, big time basketball, but AAU is so much different, and there's so many more games that they're playing and big time games. And, they're just, that's why I think you see a lot of more freshmen that are such contributors at big programs, because they're kind of used to playing in so many big games. And that's part of the credit that you can give to AAU. There's a lot of negatives about it, but that's probably one of the things that you can say that's a positive out of it.
One of the things we were talking to Trace Jackson Davis about the other day, and he was talking about he just immediately, they just got to IU, literally, but he's going through all the workouts with Cliff Marshall, and he was talking about how tired he is. His legs day. He said, my arms are so tired. He's so tired from going through all that. It's a different world for him, man.
It is. I tell you, like, one of the things that we laugh about when we all get together and remember is, like, there was a serious, one of the things we would try to do is, like, steal, like, a half an hour or 45 minutes for a nap. Like, we just always seem to be so exhausted and so tired. Like, if you ever got, like, a serious nap, you just felt great. And it was, I mean, I don't know if we're just being babies or what it was, but we laugh about it all the time, because if you ever got any extra time or free time, now if there's a chance to go to a party at 2:00 in the morning, now we would definitely take advantage of that. But anytime during the day, like, we would try to steal a nap here and there. So we were typical college kids when it came to a lot of the different situations.
When you're like right now, they're metamorphosizing from a high school kid into a college player. They're making that move from high school to college, and there's no break. I mean, those guys, and it's like you all did at your time, there's no break. You go from graduating, literally walking out of a high school classroom, you got all this all-star stuff going on, and moving in to Indiana or wherever those other kids are going. But if it's moving to Indiana, and then boom, and that starts right now. There's no break. There's no stop. It's like a job.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, our summer times were difficult. Now we would lift weights and stuff at 6:00 in the morning. Then we would, the first session of summer school, every year, everyone would take the first session of summer school. So that's 6 weeks worth of classes from like 8 to 11. Everyone would probably take 2 classes, and then we would work our jobs from 12 to 5. And then we would have practice / scrimmaging and do that stuff from like 5 to 7. And that was every day throughout the summer. No, that's not true. We wouldn't do it most of the time Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's Monday through Thursday all summer long, but there's no break to that, which means there's very little. I lived in Indy, so I could go home on Thursday night and be home for a weekend and be fine. But a lot of the guys who weren't, they couldn't go home. They couldn't leave. Even Eric Anderson going to Chicago or something like that. Like, that's too long a trip to be able to do regularly. So, I'm giving you the negatives, like it really sucked, and it didn't, but it was grueling. Like, it was, when you see, that's one of the things I try to tell people, what do people not know about playing and all that is, I mean, there's never a time when you play a game where you're not hurt at some point. Either your toes hurt or your knees hurt or your shoulders hurt or something. Like, there's never 100% thing that guys have. Everybody's hurt at some point in time from all of the beating and practice and everything that's going on. And you just can't run up and down and play against guys that big and physical without having your toes get stepped on, your ankles get rolled, and different things. And so you add all the time that you do everything else, and then you try to get treatments on those things and let them heal. But you let them heal and then run out and practice again the next day. It's just it's tough. I mean, my body today, I still have stuff that hurts every day that I probably wouldn't have had if we hadn't done that. But again, I'm giving you the negative side of it because that's what you're asking. But we're insanely all fortunate and lucky to be able to complain about that today. Trust me.
Absolutely. And I look back on that, and I'm talking about going 100 miles an hour, and you go right from high school right to college. Were you ever around, and I'm not asking you to name anybody, but around anybody that was like, man, they weren't ready for this jump yet. They haven't caught up to this jump, because it is you got to jump in maturity as well. I mean, you got to grow up fast as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say I was fairly solidified in that category. I mean, I was when you get guys like Calvert Cheney. Okay, Calvert was much thinner. He wasn't as strong and bulky, but he was thinner when he went to school. But he was a pretty decent physical specimen. I mean, you get guys like that are athletic, and when they make that jump, it's different. I mean, they adjust to it a little bit better. You get a guy that weighs 155 pounds like me. I mean, all of a sudden I've got gigantic, strong men beating the crap out of me every day. Like, yeah, it's tough for guys who are not. So now that's why you look at guys today that are so much different. I mean, kids are so much bigger and physical and that stuff, and that's a credit to why freshmen step in and have a lot bigger impact. But it's harder on the guys who are not, I'll just say, physically athletic and bigger and stronger. The ones that are, that's why right when you get there, about the first thing they start doing is you hit the weight room and you do that stuff. I mean, that's how you can make that adjustment. Less of a huge impact on a kid if you're able to get them where the physical beatdown doesn't, take away. If a guy comes in as a good shooter, well, if he can't get shots off because he gets pushed around everywhere, he's not able to demonstrate what this team needs him to do out on the court. And so that's why they get him in the weight room so quickly. And yeah, there's a lot of examples of guys you can say you thought were going to have a bigger impact early on, and they just didn't, because I think they were overwhelmed a little bit by the size and speed and physicality of the game.
Who was the toughest player you played against in that All-Star series?
In the All-Star series?
Yeah.
Allen Houston was crazy, and that dude was.
Oh, I forgot he was on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he was. Travis Ford was really good. I mean, I had to guard him, so he was little and quick, and I think he made me look silly a few times, but both of those two guys were. You put that 1-2 punch together. I mean, they got hot, and they were, down in Kentucky, they were tough for us to beat down there, and we obviously didn't beat them. So those two guys were good. They were good teammates.
Yeah, that was a couple of good players right there. I forgot about it. Allen Houston. He ended up going to Tennessee following his father, but
Yep. He would have gone to Kentucky and
Louisville. He would have gone to Louisville.
Oh yeah, you're right. He would have gone to Louisville. His dad got the coaching job down there in Tennessee, so he went down there.
Heck yeah, man. He was
nothing illegal there. No way.
No. Boy, the Louisville fans were all they hated it because he was going to be at Louisville. He was the king, and it really did. It really changed. I mean, that's a big loss. I mean, that's like losing a Calvert Cheney. I mean, that was a major, significant loss for Louisville.
Well, and you say that because of how good Calvert became, but I mean, Allen Houston was so much more highly regarded than Calvert. I mean, he was if you looked at like national rankings, I would say he was probably ranked in the top 3 in the nation. Heck, Calvert, like I said, Calvert was so under the radar, it was incredible. And Calvert wasn't ranked nationally anything like what you see some of those guys. So yeah, for Louisville to lose a guy like that, it would have been like losing a Romeo almost. It would have been that big of a deal.
That's All-Star Series. Well, we appreciate you joining us, Todd, Leary, man. I can't appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Get on the golf course. Have to get you up here to the golf club at Eagle Point. Knock it out.
I look down at my phone every day, each week, thinking that maybe you're going to call and ask me to play golf, but I just don't make that cut, and I understand it. I get it. One of these days, I'll be on your radar.
Oh, I'll see what we can get done today, man. Have a good one. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Thanks, boss. I'll see you.
Todd Leary, good friend, joining us as he does each and every Friday, man. It's another great week here on the show. What a great bow to put on it. Lance Stemler was on us with us earlier today. We've heard from the All-Stars all week. They're back in action tonight down in Louisville at Bellarmine University. Get out and see them. They're at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse tomorrow night. Your last chance to see Armand Franklin, Trace Jackson Davis et al. As they will take on their counterparts from Kentucky in the All-Star game. It's been a great week. We appreciate you joining us. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat will be back with more next week. Until then, I'll see you on the radio.